the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. How is it that, Jay, there's always this dishonesty on the left? I don't know why. I always feel they tend to get away with it all the time, just like Hillary Clinton. So many lies, in many ways, was not called out by the media. Why is there that double standard?
Well, it's the same reason you've got these bureaucrats that were in lockstep with the Obama administration. The fact of the matter is that you have an entrenched bureaucracy in government, and you've got an entrenched bureaucracy of sorts in the media. And so there's a double standard. There's two different ways this is viewed. But at the end of the day, look what happened today. Jeff Sessions is now the Attorney General of the United States. We'll get a decision probably tomorrow from the Ninth Circuit. It'll probably go, as I said, to the Supreme Court. And at the end of the day, the president had the authority to do what he did. But, Sean, I think we talked about this before. The fact is, you got the administration is prepared for this now. I think they clearly know what the stakes are here, and you move forward. But at the end of the day, and I think the reality is that there is a double standard. That's not changing with an election. There's a double standard.
Yeah,
we
true.
just have to point to what the standard is and give people the real facts of what it is. And in this particular case, let me say this really quickly. There was no question, there is no question that the President of the United States had the authority to put that temporary halt in place. And by the way, I got an email today from a friend of mine who's an immigration lawyer who helps people come to the United States, who said that in what she's understood is that 100 Syrian refugees were admitted to the United States this week, in the last few days. And by the way, Sean, the vetting was done by the United Nations. She put in bold letters to me, not good.
All right.
Yeah.
That is a form of insanity. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
Look, but the obstruction did impact what has happened in this court case. For example, Pam, I think Jay and I both agree that the full-time employee that argued on behalf of the administration last night, had it been Jeff Sessions or one of his people, it would have been argued in a far more effective way. That being the case, knowing that the Ninth Circuit is overturned more often than any other appeals court, what happens next from your perspective?
Well, certainly we know it's going to go to the United States Supreme Court. The timeline we don't know yet. But, you know, as Jay just said, I don't think it takes more than a second-year law student to read U.S. Section 1182 and understand the president has full authority to do exactly what he did. And President Trump's going to continue to do that. But he's going to abide by the court's decision, even though we all disagree with it. We respectfully disagree with it. We've heard the questions that have been asked by this appellate court to the Justice Department's lawyer. And so, you know, I think we all anticipate it's going to end up in the United States Supreme Court. And as you said, you know what? Shame on the liberal politicians, because they're the ones who are afraid to call terrorism by name, and we have a president who's unafraid to call it out by name and protect our country.
Yeah, I mean, that is such a distinct difference. I mean, when I've been saying to people for the longest period of time here, it really comes down to a very simple, basic issue beyond the law, and that is, are we willing to inconvenience people that have the luxury and the gift that we are giving them to come to our country? Maybe some of them will be inconvenienced, versus gambling with the lives of the American people. I'm not willing to gamble with the life of the American people. As to the statutory justification of the president, let me refer to 1182, which is 8 U.S. Code, and it's very clear. I think a kindergartner could frankly understand it.
Right.
Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or class of aliens into the U.S. would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on any entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. Jay,
period.
I mean,
period.
It's rather unremarkable. I mean, you look, of course, and that statute makes perfect sense in light of Article 2 of the United States Constitution. Well, I'm the grandson of a Russian immigrant. I believe in legal immigration in the United States. My grandfather came here legally. But the fact is, there is no question that the president has his constitutional authority. If someone disagrees with the policy, and by the way, that's what the court was getting into, which they had no business doing. If you disagree with the policy, you know, you can disagree with the policy. But to say that the president doesn't have this constitutional and statutory authority, frankly, is absurd.
It is absurd. And Sean,
go ahead, Pam.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Sean, and to follow up on what Jay was saying, legally, you look at the four corners of that document, you look at what that district court said, you don't start asking questions about Rudy Giuliani. That is absurd. Talking about news stories is absurd. They want to listen to the news. Let them listen to what happened with the 22 med students from Great Britain who left Sudan and went to Syria to join ISIS. Those two countries are on the list. Look what happened in Yemen with the 14 al-Qaeda members who were just taken out. That was on the news. But they want to discuss political statements made by Mayor Giuliani. That does not happen in a court of law, nor should it ever.
Right.
All right, guys.
Right.
Really well said. I'm not expecting the Ninth Circuit, which we know is radically left. They went judge shopping on purpose to come back for the administration. But I would expect the Supreme Court and Justice Kennedy to do the right thing. Guys, good to see you both. Thank you.